Hey, peace family, it is Christina, and today I wanted to talk about rage bait and how a lot of the things that we watch are actually designed to make us angry, stressed, frustrated, and to live out of our lower frequencies of survival instincts, anger, hatred, things like that that prevent us from living our best life and prevent us from living in a state of joy, love, all those type of higher frequencies, and how to shift our frequency from these lower vibrational energies into higher energies. And so, of course, before we start, I just want to wish you guys all of my love, abundant life, love, joy, peace, and prosperity. As always, these are intended to uplift myself at least. And if I can help one more person, 10 people, 100 people, a million, it doesn't matter. The point is simply to send some uplifting energy into the world, really to counteract a lot of this negative energy, which is what I wanted to talk about today. So I'm talking about this. Everything I talk about is coming out of my own experiences, my own life, and truly watching the news. And what I wanted to talk about is how a lot of this content is actually designed as rage bait. Now, what is rage bait? You know, let's say you see someone on TikTok and they make some food, right? They throw some hot dogs, they throw some like eggs, they throw a whole bunch of vegetables and pickles and stuff like that, and then some gelatin, and they put it in the air fryer, and they're like, look, it's dessert, right? And then you're like, I can't believe they did that, and then you share it with all these people, like, look at how disgusting that is. That's rage bait, okay? And so a lot of people, and it goes for all range of categories of things, but what happens is people have learned the algorithms and that people will share, for whatever reason, highly negative things more than they will share highly positive things. So when you see something that's disgusting, that's crazy, like you hear someone saying something like, well, obviously the sky is yellow, and they're adamant about that, and you're like, wow, this person is insane, let me send this to all of my friends. Or you'll see all kinds of things in the media and on social media that is not just accidentally that way. They do it on purpose because they know that that's how they're going to get the views and the subscribers and the likes, right? And so that's just what it is. Now, a lot of us, I don't think, realize it. Like, we just kind of watch it and just get provoked. It's kind of like an instinct. The instincts come out and it's like, oh my God. And then we just naturally share it. And so we're perpetuating this cycle, okay? So if you watched my last couple of videos, I was talking about, taking a break from social media, like I called it break free from the hive mind. I followed that up with how to move out of the consumer energy into the creator energy. And so now I want to talk about how to raise your vibration and how to not allow the things that you watch, is because, we can't help but to be aware of the news. I'm still watching the news to some level, right? Because I want to be aware of what's going on. So how do you watch these things? How do you scroll on social media without being triggered and put in these low vibrational energies? So what are low vibrational energies? Okay, so low vibrational energies are energies that are things that keep us negative, hateful, and prevent us from really accessing our higher energy centers. And they prevent us from being creative, happy, joyful, and things like that. So the lower energies would be anger, hatred, survival instincts. So when you have things, and I'll just give this as an example, I really don't want to trigger you guys, but when you think about, because it's been on my mind and I want to talk about this in this way, and that's the migrant crisis. So one of the things that happens with things like the migrant crisis is the way that it's being portrayed by both sides is that it's trying to provoke your survival instincts, right? It's trying to provoke something. So it's provoking, and a lot of people, you watch it and you get like I said, it's rage bait on some level, right? So you watch it and it's intended, a lot of the way that this is portrayed on the news is intended to make you pissed off. That's the point, right? It's meant to do that. It's meant to make you highly angry at the migrants. It's intended to make you angry at the government. It's intended to provoke some level of rage, right? How can they do this? How are they? I can't believe that, right? And so you have this instinct, right? And so as much as it might feel natural to be like, well, obviously, how could anyone, you see some of the stuff on the news and you're like, how could anyone not have an angry reaction to this? And it could be any number of things, right? But I just bring that up because it's just something that's really going on right now in our country. And what I'm saying is, don't play into it. Now, I'm not saying to not know what's going on and to not like be aware and things like that, but to not allow those things to take you down into those negative energies. So even if you see a million migrants come into the United States, you have to protect your energy so that you are not becoming enraged by it, that you are not becoming hateful toward the migrants, that you are not becoming aggressively hateful toward the government, right? Do you see what I'm saying? That you have to start to separate those emotions, because I think what's happening is it's intentional to try to provoke us into this negative reaction. And then now we're stuck in these lower energy centers of hatred and fear and anger. And when you're in a state of hatred and fear and anger, it's impossible to thrive on an energetic level. When you're in those negative energy states of hatred, fear, and anger, right? Those are the opposite of things like gratitude, love, peace, and joy. That's why when I introduce my videos, every time I'm like, I wish you abundant life, love, joy, peace, and prosperity, right? And that's intentional because those are the values that are high vibrational that I want to align with, that I want you to be aligned with, right? And I want to be associated with people who are also on that vibration of peace, love, joy, gratitude, and love, right? I might have said love already, but anyway, but you understand me. And I think what's happening is with a lot of the, and I'm not sure why, right? So I can't say all the reasons that other people do things, but I'm just saying for us to protect our energy by, even if you see these things, check your emotions, okay? We all have different trigger points. And depending on what your particular trigger point is, that's generally how we will vote. So sometimes if you have a trigger point that's like about gender, you might vote a certain way. If you have a trigger point that's about economics, you might vote a certain way. If you have a trigger point that's about, immigration, you might vote a certain way, right? I'm not judging any of them. I'm just saying that I think we need to be more aware of our triggers and how the media and different things that we watch are just manipulating us to come out of our lower energy centers of anger, hatred, aggression, fear, and they provoke us to make bad decisions. So if you see a lot of people when they're in a fear state, right, they will either end up making, bad financial decisions, or they might even end up doing drugs and things like that as a way to kind of escape, right? A lot of times people end up on those drugs because they're in a state of fear and crisis or anger, or they're holding on to some type of negative emotion that they're using the drugs as a way to self-medicate, right? So I'm not judging it at all. Been there, done that, And so what we need to do instead of feeding these negative feelings, and it can feel very urgent, right? It feels like I need to know what's going on. I need to watch this, because our fear centers it's like the animalistic center that protects yourself, protects your family, right? It feels like I have to watch this ad nauseum so that I can be safe, so that I can be protected, so that I know what to protect my family from, right? And on some level, obviously we have to be aware, but I think that what's happening is our survival instincts are being hijacked to the point that we're existing as a society in these low vibrational negative energy centers of fear, anger, and hatred. And so when even guilt and shame are also part of that. Guilt and shame are really big ones in that as well. And so that we can make better decisions as individuals and as a society, we have to move out of these lower vibrational centers into higher consciousness, okay? We need to move out of lower vibrational centers into higher consciousness, so that the vibrations that are of a higher consciousness are love, joy, peace, gratitude, prosperity, things like that, okay? And when you have these higher vibrational centers, there is not an us versus them, okay? That doesn't exist there. So when you're in these low vibrational centers of fear and things like that, survival instincts, that animal sense, like I have a dog who's over here making a little bit of noise, right? My dog, you know, she's an only dog, right? There's no other dogs here, but her survival instinct will still say, I got a treat, I gotta go hide it. I got this, I gotta go protect what I have, right? That's an animal instinct. And it comes from this belief that, you know, something can be taken from me. If someone else has something, that means I don't have, and that there's not enough to go around. In terms of earthly rules, that might be the case, right? In terms of if you only exist in the 3D physical, you know, I only believe what I see consciousness, that is true, right? But some of us are able to, and all of us are able to do this, but I think some people believe that there's nothing beyond the physical, but there is, right? Everything physical begins in the spiritual realm before it becomes physical. And so there is infinite resources, there is infinite love, there is infinite access to peace and prosperity for all of us in the spiritual realm, okay? On the physical realm, our fear and anger and hatred and our us versus them mentality has created a situation, has manifested a physical expression of our consciousness that says that there is not enough to go around, and so that's what we've manifested into reality, right? And so as long as the majority of the population is existing in these negative energy centers of fear, us versus them, things like that, there's not enough to go around, we're continuing to manifest as a society these things. It's possible for us as a society to elevate our consciousness collectively, not just as one person, but as all of us, with the higher level consciousness. So if enough of us believe and tap into the spiritual understanding that there is enough love, joy, peace, abundance for everyone, right? Then we will no longer have this fearful mentality and these type of fear-based actions that are happening. And we will no longer be bound by or manipulated by fear-mongering and rage bait. I hope that makes sense to you all. This is a consciousness problem. This is not a physical problem, right? And you cannot fix, I forgot who said this, but I'll find the quote. You cannot, might have been Einstein, but you can't fix a problem at the same level of consciousness that created it. You have to go to a higher level of consciousness, right? So if my dog makes a mess, right, and I'm like, Buffy, fix the mess. She's at a certain level of consciousness where she doesn't really know how to do that, right? And so I can't be angry at her for not fixing it. I just have to fix it, right? But as humans, we have the ability to change our consciousness, to change our minds, to learn new ways of being, and to turn off certain some of our instinctual reactions to things, right? So if my instinct is someone slaps me in the face, I slap them back, right? That's an instinctual, animalistic reaction. But I can let someone slap me in the face and be like, you look stupid, right? You know, and not do it back. Like, because as a human, I have that choice to move beyond the physical into the spiritual. And that's what we need to do here. So as you guys keep watching, because they're not going to stop pushing this negative stuff. They're not going to stop. They're not going to stop. And as a result, I'm not going to stop pushing positive stuff because I feel like more of us need to just create positive, uplifting content that promotes love, joy, prosperity for everyone, right? Like peace on earth. Like more people just need to say that, peace on earth, peace on earth, peace on earth. And because if you just watch some of this media, they want to keep us in these low vibrational centers because it keeps people asleep, it keeps people sick, it keeps people, you know, angry and fearful and disempowered. Once you evolve out of this kind of lower vibrational frequency, you become much more empowered over your life and you feel much more agency, right? And knowledge is power, right? Being spiritually tapped in is a powerful thing. And I think that there's some fear on some of the powers that be, is what I would say, of people mass awakening to these things. And And I think that's why it just feels like it's just this bombarding. Like it feels like they're just bombarding us with negative energy, right, from all sides. In education, they're bombarding us with negative energy in the music. They're bombarding us with negative energy in terms of the way the government is running things. And I think it's really meant to demoralize us and to discourage us and to make us feel fearful and angry and hateful of others, right? It makes us xenophobic. It makes us hateful of the immigrants. It makes us hateful of each other. We're driving and people are honking, they're angry. And like I said in the previous video, how does the US heal this dis-ease that is being pushed? And the way we do that is by elevating our consciousness. That's how we do that, in my opinion. And coming from really focusing, and this is what I mean, focusing ourselves on positive things. So what you focus on multiplies. If you focus on the negative, then that's what you will have in your consciousness. So if you're in a state where you're focusing on negative things, you have to literally combat that by intentionally adding positive things, by saying positive affirmations, by looking at positive news, by looking at puppies and kittens and fish floating around. And like, I'm so serious. And relaxing your mind out of that consciousness and reminding yourself that you can come out of the fear, you can come out of the anger, you can come out of the hatred, and you can elevate your consciousness and your life into these higher frequencies, and that you can associate with people who are of a higher frequency, and you can change your external expression to a higher frequency by changing your consciousness. And I'm going to stop it here because it's getting long, but I'm going to keep talking about this because I feel like it just feels so urgent for me. And if you have this on your heart, I wish that more other people would make videos as well that are just positive, that are just lifting our consciousness up out of the muck and into the heavens. That's it, out of the muck and into the heavens, right? We can have heaven on earth. We can have peace on earth, but we have to have enough people who want that and are pushing for that. You know what I'm saying? Right now, we have more people pushing for, war, anger, xenophobia, hatred for each other, crabs in a barrel. We have more people doing this than we do have doing this. And again, I'm not promoting any party or any particular ideology. I'm just talking about elevating our consciousness as a whole so that we can all live peaceful and happy lives and not fall for the rage bait that I feel like is really keeping us in these low vibrational energy centers, so that we can resist it with everything you have, so that you can live in the higher energy centers of peace, joy, love, abundance, prosperity, and those are the things that I wish for myself, and those are the things that I wish for you and for your community. And I wish that more of us would focus on these positive things as opposed to the negative ones. And I think it would really change our society tremendously if more of us would do that. And so with that, I will leave it there. As always, I love you guys. I appreciate your feedback, your comments, and any suggestions on what you want me to talk about, of course, always in an uplifting way. And I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.